Hello everyone, Bertina Amy here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing a Dollar Tree DIY unique pumpkin wreath. So let's jump right in. So today I thought I would go ahead and challenge myself by creating my own pumpkin wreath. And I just want to wrap these around the wire. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to wrap it starting from this left side, skipping this inner one, and then doing every other following that. First, I'm going to go ahead and cut this tag off too. Okay, so here's one spool on, and I really like the way this is looking. And it's basically just a sort of braided thing of ribbon down two sides of the wires. And I'm going to show you how to do that with another roll of ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the entire ribbon off. And by the way, what I thought was interesting, it just says it's a ribbon. It doesn't mention that there's any wire in it, but there actually is wiring. I'm going to see if I can show you up close here. Let's see if we can you see? I don't know if you can see that well, but yeah, there's wire in there. It's very thin, but it's there. So I'm going to take this whole roll off. You'll have excess, and that's fine. And I'm probably going to, for the edges, it's probably going to be two split in half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edges, line them up, and then find the center of this whole ribbon. Okay, so this is my center. I'm just folding it. Oops, sorry about that. Just didn't want it to fall to the floor. So I'm going to do this section first, and then I'll probably do one side off camera and then try to do the other side on camera. I hope that makes sense. But basically, now that I have my center, what I also need to do is take it and have the wired edges meet so that I make a center straight down the ribbon. So I'm going to do that off camera. So here's my ribbon. The entire thing is folded. This is the center that I folded earlier. You can kind of see the bend right there. So I'm going to work on this section, and I'm going to want to wrap this around this top wire a couple of times, but I want the folded edge to face towards me. The idea is I just want this basically tied on to the actual wreath form. Okay, so I want to make sure that either side of the ribbons are on the outside of these wires. Okay, so for the first wrap around, what I did for this side was I wrapped the one on the right over to the left while taking the one on the left, bringing it over to the right underneath the top one, and just kind of doing a braid with going around the wires. So I want to pull this from under, going over the wire, pulling the one on the left under, going around the wire, and just repeating that process, making sure that my right goes above my left each time, and trying to make this as tight as I can so that I don't even need to attach it with any hot glue. I'm trying to avoid using hot glue as well. There's nothing wrong with hot glue. I actually really like using hot glue. I'll use it if I need to, but I want to see if this can be done without hot glue, especially for any of my subscribers that might not be using hot glue or don't have hot glue. And anyways, I really like the design that it creates. So it feels like I'm kind of, in a sense, like weaving, but I still think of it as like braiding with ribbon instead. Okay, so we want the one on the right. Always make sure that one goes over your left ribbon. And you can see it creates a fold. The fold that you create throughout, it'll kind of just stay there. Scoot up a little bit. Hopefully you can see this. So I'm getting towards the end already. I don't know if you could, oh gosh, you can't see that. I'm running out of space. Let's see if I can just, I'm going to do it like this. Let's see if you can see that. So here it is. I'm folding it like this, going around the wire. For this side, doing one last around. And I don't mind if it kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not looking for perfection here. So this is how that's looking. I need to make sure it's wrapped around this wire so it stays attached. So I'm just gonna, this one's already under, so I'm gonna go through, over the wire and then through, like that. And then this one, I'm going to the back and pulling it through to attach. And then I'm going to fluff, let's see if I can fix the appearance of this. So that you don't see any sort of gap right there. And then I will deal with the tails later. And I'll be back after this right side is finished, and then I'll show you how to do the left side. So for this last piece, what I did was I took a roll, or I'm taking a roll, and I take it completely off the roll. I'm just going to cut it in half. Use one for the right side and one for the left side. Okay, so I am going to have to bring in my hot glue gun because after cutting it in half, I had just enough to finish the very bottom. And in order for the pieces to stay in place, I need to use some hot glue. So I'm just going to add some hot glue there. Trying not to burn myself here. As far as how I ended this one, I did not do it right. This one turned out way better. So, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna wrap it around. I'm just gonna crisscross the ones in the back for this and let them hang in the front. I prefer the back more. But for some reason, I'm not sure what it is about it. I think it's just because the way it ended up, but I wasn't able to get another round of it like I was here. So you're just gonna have to play with it to see how to finish it off. But I'm gonna show you how I did the right side. But like I said, there's gonna be gaps because it's not gonna be enough. And you'd probably be wondering why I didn't just use another roll. It's because the Dollar Tree I went to only had 3 rolls of this exact one. The other one I did grab, but it has this white stitching on the edges, and I wasn't sure I was going to like the way that looked. That's why I didn't use it. And I'm really liking the way this is looking, which is why I didn't undo this and use that instead. I might still use it, I'm not sure yet, but in any case, I'm going to get started on this other side. So I'm going to repeat the same process as I did for these pieces. I'm going to fold it in half, find the center, and then fold it lengthwise so that this is all folded in half. I mean, it could be the other way around too, as long as it's folded in half both ways, basically. So I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so here's my center, and it's all folded. Even though it comes undone, it's not staying there, so I'm not stitching it. There's no sense in doing that. You don't need to. So I just decided, since this is already at a corner point anyways, that I was just going to go ahead and wrap it, start wrapping it. Just, or weaving it, however you want to phrase it. I really like the way this is making the pumpkin look. And of course I've got those gaps and I can't wrap around in between. So once this is done, I'm going to figure out what to do. I think the reason why the center ones look so good is because there's not as much of a, I don't know how to explain this, like the way, like there's not these like corners that they like get smaller into and stuff like that. So I think that's why. But I'm not going to worry about it. If you could see some of the wire, because I'm, like I said, I'm just going to cover it with embellishments or something like that. I haven't figured out exactly what yet. I did buy a bunch of stuff that I want to decorate this with, so just bear with me. And these will want to glide because there's nothing to have them grip onto. You could do what I've done in a past video with wreaths, and you could decide to wrap twine around it, but I decided to skip that entirely. Hang on 1 second. Almost skipped that. Okay, I think somehow this one's going to end up even better than the last one. I probably should have done this side first. I know that things made from Dollar Tree aren't necessarily even, but I will say this is better quality than the starfish wreath I made, as far as the wreath form is concerned. So yeah, got ample amount. Even have a little excess there. I kind of wish I'd known that was going to be the case, because then I would have had more coverage. It's okay though, I'll fix it in my own way. And you can do the same thing too if you need to. So I'm just going to add hot glue to finish these off. I'm not looking for perfection anyway. Just going to let that, I'm going to trim that off as soon as that dries or cools. Okay, so this is coming along.
Just gonna go ahead and cut off the excess here.
Okay. I thought it might be kind of neat to have stuff actually dangling from this. I haven't decided officially what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so now that these parts are done, before I figure out the center in between parts or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this stem part. In fact, I'm going to flip it this way for better viewing. And I'm going to go ahead and use just basic twine from Crafter Square. Oh, I don't even need scissors. Okay, so okay, so because I don't want the wire to be seen, I'm going to first tie this on to the wire. I don't know how much jute twine I'm going to need for that, but I highly doubt that all this is going to be used. So my plan is I'm going to tie it first all around the stem, and then I'm going to wrap back and forth in the same manner as this. And then that way, like, even though this has some green parts, probably would have looked better if some of the twine was around it, but in any case, if you decide to repeat this, it's time consuming to like tie it on first and then to attach this on top. So I was kind of skipping a step. And the other thing is you could just spray paint it more of like this color. I still want to wrap this around or tie this on first before I glue it on, because I didn't spray paint it and I don't want to spray paint it and I don't want to deal with spray paint stuff anyways, especially with where I live. So, all right, I'm just going to guess that that's probably going to be enough. All right, so first I'm just going to try to make a knot so that the twine is attached. There we go. I'm not going to worry about this. This can always be hot glued later. But I like to go under the wire. It's going to take me a minute to get all this out. Get this out of my way. Okay, so under the wire first, then take the tail end of it and go over the wire through the loop I just made. It's going to take a second to get all the way through. And then pull until it's tight. Okay, so again, under the wire, pull through, tight. Okay, so under the wire, pull through, pull tight, rinse and repeat until this whole thing is tied on. Oh, quick tip, you don't need to add glue if you make sure to go around the spare bit of string, because then it's just going to stay hidden there, but there's still going to be another new spare bit of string when everything's all said and done. So you could still add the hot glue then, or cover it with an embellishment. Either way. I'm going to leave this bit of jute twine in case. Okay, I found that I had this burlap ribbon, which was actually part of my daughter's outfit. I know it sounds terrible that I'm using this, but it seems like such a cheapy looking belt. And I didn't see this staying on her anyway. It was going to be way too loose. And I thought, well, the outfit didn't need a belt. So I decided that I would save it for a crafting purpose. And I decided to attach it up at the top for the stem in the same manner that I attached these ribbons. That's why it's off camera. And I also wanted to try to save some video purposes, to not make it so long. In any case, for now, I'm going to leave these tails on. I will deal with these later. Okay, so I've got good news. I was finally able to get another wreath form, and only one location had it, but it's a brand new location, so I didn't know that it existed. In any case, I'm so thankful because I really want to be able to show you a finished product, and this can be finished as is, but I really want you to see what it's going to look like once this is all complete. I'm just going to remove this. So I'm just going to take this. Oh, goodness. Okay. This can get added back later anyway. So I did not tie this tight in here but that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Just want to make sure that I can line this up as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect, but when I, like, as I said earlier, I'm going to tie it here, and then it's going to be wrapped here and here and here, and then we're going to have tails at the end. All right, I've got a couple of these clips. They look just like the ones from Dollar Tree. You know what? I'm going to do it at the bottom because it doesn't make sense to do it at the top when I got to tie it at the bottom or at the top anyways. They look just like the ones from the Dollar Tree, but believe it or not, these are actually from my toolkit. Sorry, it's my brain kind of farted there. But anyways, so I'm just going to lift this. And off camera, I found the center of this, and I might have mentioned this earlier, but I didn't want to go looking for another 3 of these, so I just bought 3 of these. So I'm just going to use these. I think it'll be nice for a contrast so that you can see the difference between all of them. So this might be a little bit more tricky because now I have one layered on top of another, but I'm going to do my best to try to get this attached. All right, so I'm going to do my best to wrap this around both and not just the one. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to attach it by kind of weaving it within, and it's probably going to look messy as of right now, but I'm sure it's going to look great once it's all attached. I'm only going to do the one here on the left on camera and the one in the middle. This one is going to be done off camera. Okay, trying to adjust as I go. Okay, I figured out what I was missing. So every time I'm weaving, I did this part wrong. Okay, when you're crossing over to go to the other side, you need to go over and around the metal. That was my issue. And then they crisscross. And if there's a gap that shows over, like once this is all completed, I'm okay with that. Oh, this is looking so cool. Okay, and I want this to be tight, but I also want to be able to continue to stick the ribbon in. And then the great part is that once this is completely tied on, we don't have to worry about glue other than cutting off any excess. Okay. Okay. So I can already tell there's going to be a gap that's bigger here, and I'm totally fine with that. All right. So I'm just going to continue this until this entire section is done and this entire section is done, and I'll come back when I'm doing this part. But just remember, it's always, you're going to go under so when you're crossing over to the opposite side, you're going to go over and around to cover the wire, and you're going to repeat that process from going from the right side to the left and the right to the left, if that makes sense. I hope that's making sense, but you could see on screen. So okay, so both of the sides are complete. I did on the right side, let me see if I can show this, but I decided to wrap the edge so that on the one side you could only see the orange, and it helped with the gaps that I was having issues with. And I'm going to repeat that on the left side, that wrapping. And there's still the tails, so there's more than enough to wrap around. I'm just going to show you a couple times, and then I'm going to skip over until we start working on the midsection. But basically, let's see if you can see that. Okay, so I did backtrack. You can see I have it starting to attach. It's not looking terrible, I don't think. You let me know what you think in the comments. But I still want it wrapped so that it doesn't end up with so much of that wire showing. All right. And you can see it's really starting to fray, but I'm going to flip this over. I'm just going to glue this here, and then I'll trim off the excess. So I like using this method. At least I haven't seen anyone do this to a pumpkin wreath or any wreath really for that matter. But I like this method because I don't even feel like I need any zip ties or pipe cleaners or anything like that. I'm going to trim the excess off to get a clean cut. I need that to kind of just sit for a minute. I want to cover up this. Let me see if I can get this to go in. It's really tight. I know I think both of these sides end up just kind of let me see, I could just do it like this maybe. Like that. Yeah. And then I'm just going to add hot glue. And let that sit and cool. And then as soon as it's done cooling, I'm going to cut off the excess for that as well. And then we're going to move on to the center part. I'm really liking how this is turning out, and in my opinion too, the back side looks pretty neat as well. This is just my opinion. I think this would look awesome. This method would look awesome on other types of wreath forms, but I don't know that I would try it on a regular basic one. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do other ones, but as of right now, my intentions are to make this pumpkin one my last wreath and move on to other DIY projects. So I went ahead and removed the leaves so I could have easier access to the center and attach the last roll of ribbon. And it looks like I'm going to have to fix this one because I messed up the pattern. It's supposed to be the left is over the right. It still is. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I still messed up on this one. This was supposed to go under, so I'm going to have to fix this one too. I keep catching my own errors. If you don't notice them, it's totally okay. I don't know if you're going to be particular about it, but it's totally up to you. Okay, so here's my pumpkin with almost everything attached. Now I just got to do the center part. Or at least I should say I fixed everything that had issues to my knowledge. And gotta refine the center of the ribbon. All right, so I was gonna attach it just like up here, but I thought in order for me to make sure this is gonna stay on there instead of just gliding constantly, I do need to wrap it around the stem just to keep it into place. And I think that's gonna look maybe a little bit better. I could redo the stem, but I honestly don't want to, and I don't need it to cover the back end wire either. So that's part of it. So if I want to make sure, yeah, I'm going to have to go around like this. Okay, I still haven't, obviously still haven't All right, so this is how I'm gonna just pull it down tight. I don't want that in the way. All right, and then this is gonna go here. Trying to make sure I'm following the same pattern each time. Coming up to the tail end here, gonna start to wrap it around these bars.
There's not really a wrong way to wrap around these bars. The idea is just to cover up the actual bar itself. And it's also up
I
to
think,
personal preference.
let's see, I just gotta wrap this one through here. Okay, that means everything is tied on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the leaves back on and get.
These leaves come in packs of 5, and they're easy to attach just by the fact that their stems are made of wire. I used 3 of them to keep up with the odd number of items on the pumpkin.
I could put that decor piece. I was thinking about using this to decorate, but I feel like this doesn't belong with this. This will have to be saved for something else. I really like this though. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the ends yet. I kind of like the idea of them dangling. Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but I like the hanger on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this over the top of my stem. See how short this stem is? And that's why I don't want to cut this, like at all. Kind of like it long. But I think even just this kind of dangling on the pumpkin already looks nice the way it is. I don't know that I want to add anything else to it, but I've considered even just kind of sticking this guy in. See if you can see that. Something like that. I'm thinking of just even continuing this kind of twisted look maybe to give it a longer stem. I think that would look cool. Obviously, you could decorate this however you want. You could add flowers to it still if you wanted. I really like the simplicity of this project. I like the fact that hardly any hot glue was used. It was used just to secure the ends, but I didn't even use it for attaching it initially. I like that I didn't even need to use pipe cleaners, which could be a pain in the neck because then you have to cut them down and things like that. I like the fact that I didn't even have to cut any of the ribbon other than to cut off the excess. That part's also nice. This is fine the way it is, and you can cut off the ends. You can cut off these ends and then just secure them at the back if you're like if you don't want anything dangling, but I kind of like the idea of some dangling items, and I like the finished edge of this as well. Okay, so I am finalizing my pumpkin right now. I think I prefer this uh, scarecrow over here. However, he is not going to stay very well, but I don't really want to use, I think I should use the hot glue gun, but I'm going to trim off this excess. I actually don't want this to be perfect or whatever. I'm actually kind of hoping it'll start to fray. I think the frayed look is cooler. It'll look more rustic, I think. All right, that's kind of neat, right? And I want to do the same with this side. And I'm just going to do a simple slant. I'm not doing that dovetail stuff. Normally I would for like bows, but seeing as this is not intended to be a bow, this is more intended to be just the tail ends of the stem, I think the slant is just fine. So I'm going to leave it like that. This I've already glued with hot glue so it stays still, and it extends the look of the stem, which I also like because the stem was actually, it ended up here. I wanted to put the scarecrow here, but it completely, with the whole top part, it actually covers the stem entirely. So that's why I'm actually just going to put him over here. Kind of like the idea of, see here, I'm just going to maybe squeeze him in like this. I just poke through like a hole within the weaving I did, and kind of like him on the right side. And this is just going to drape down, and I did not cut off the ends of my pumpkin with the tails because I really like the way that that looks. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to do too was I wanted to introduce these satin sort of teal type pumpkins. I just want to use one of these. See if I can pull this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that apart. Let me try to cut that off camera. So I just took a pair of pliers and just bent it back and forth until it just broke off. That's all I did. Nothing crazy fancy, but I basically would just want to cover up the sort of ugliness of that. Let's see if I can get this. Will it poke through? I don't know if it's going to poke through. Here we go. Yeah. Just like that, just kind of cover it up. I mean, this is optional. I'm not huckling anything down in case I change my mind. Sometime later down the road. A little bow in there would also be really cute, maybe like a fall bow. Totally optional. And of course, you could embellish this as much as you wish or choose to leave it as plain as you wish. I tend to think less is more. And with the tails, I was debating about decorating those. That's also optional. To each his own and their preferences. And now I'm going to show the final reveal.
And here is the final result. I really love the way that this turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.